Alexander the Great, a name that still echoes with power, ambition, and myth. In 2004, director Oliver Stone brought this legendary figure to life with Colin Farrell in the lead role. But how much of that epic actually happened? Today, we dive deep into the real history behind the film Alexander, separating ancient fact from Hollywood fiction. Let's start with the core facts. Alexander III of Macedon was born in 356 BCE and died in 323 BCE at just 32 years old. Yet in that short lifetime, he created one of the largest empires the world had ever seen, stretching from Greece to Egypt, Persia, and even into India. In Alexander, Stone shows him as both brilliant and haunted, which surprisingly reflects ancient accounts. Contemporary historians like Arrian and Plutarch describe a tactical genius obsessed with glory, but also emotionally volatile and increasingly paranoid. His legendary drunken rages, documented, his violent outbursts and fits of megalomania, also recorded. He wasn't just a military leader, he was a force of nature, sometimes inspiring, sometimes terrifying. The film doesn't shy away from Alexander's complicated upbringing, and neither should we. His father, King Philip II, was a ruthless warrior king. His mother, Olympias, equally ambitious and deeply manipulative. In fact, their relationship was so toxic that Olympias openly pitted her son against his father. She even told Alexander he was the son of Zeus, and not metaphorically. She claimed Zeus visited her in serpent form, and Alexander believed this divine heritage was real. This wasn't just a quirky legend. It shaped his identity. Over time, Alexander began presenting himself not just as a king, but as a demigod. This god complex became a growing problem for his generals, many of whom struggled with his unpredictable behavior and spiritual arrogance. The movie brings epic battles like Gaugamela and the Indian campaigns to life. And yes, they're rooted in real history. Alexander's military strategies were revolutionary. By combining the solid wall of the Macedonian phalanx with rapid cavalry maneuvers, he could outflank and crush even larger forces. But Alexander goes a step further. It shows him personally leading charges at the front lines. And that's no exaggeration. He was known for fighting shoulder to shoulder with his troops, often taking on extreme risks. He suffered multiple life-threatening wounds, pierced by arrows, struck by swords, nearly killed more than once. But this recklessness also inspired fierce loyalty. His men didn't just follow him, they worshipped him. Few leaders have ever commanded that kind of devotion. The film touches on one of the most debated topics in Alexander's life, his sexuality. His close relationship with his childhood companion Hephaestion is shown as emotionally deep, possibly romantic. Ancient sources are vague, but the bond between them was legendary. In ancient Greece, same-sex relationships between men weren't just accepted, they were part of elite culture. So the suggestion in the film isn't out of place. At the same time, Alexander married at least 3 women: Roxana of Bactria, Statira of Persia, and Parysatis. These weren't grand love stories. They were political tools used to secure loyalty across his vast empire. The duality of Alexander's personal and political life adds layers to his character that few films dare explore. Love, power, loyalty. In his world, they were all interconnected and often weaponized. Now let's talk about what the movie gets wrong, or at least dramatically distorts. The timeline, for starters, is all over the place. Alexander jumps back and forth between childhood, battles, death scenes, and philosophical reflections, making it hard to follow the real historical sequence. One major flaw: it presents the Indian campaign as Alexander's final act. In reality, after India, he returned west and spent years managing his empire, founding cities, and trying to integrate cultures. And the dramatic dialogues with Aristotle? They feel more like therapy sessions than ancient philosophy. It's modern psychology superimposed on ancient minds. Even his appearance is questionable. Ancient texts describe Alexander as fair-skinned, possibly with one blue and one brown eye. Nothing like Colin Farrell's dark-haired portrayal. Artistic liberty? Sure. Historical accuracy? Not quite. Alexander died in Babylon in 323 BCE, but the cause of death remains one of history's great mysteries. Was it malaria, typhoid, poison, alcohol? Even ancient writers couldn't agree. The film leans into the poisoning theory, hinting at betrayal from within. And while that's certainly possible, there's no hard proof. He fell ill after a banquet and never recovered. What is certain is this: after his death, his empire, once the most powerful on earth, immediately fractured. His generals, known as the Diadochi, split the territory in bloody civil wars, carving it into separate kingdoms. The dream of a united empire died with Alexander. Oliver Stone's Alexander is not a documentary, it's a stylized psychological epic. But beneath the artistic flourishes and myth-making, it manages to capture something true: the chaos, the glory, and the tragedy of a man who tried to become a god. What's your take on the movie and the real Alexander? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe for more real history behind famous films. Until next time, stay curious.